Hi, it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here to share my April works in progress with you. I have a lot to share with you today. I don't know what it is been. Spring is in the air and I've been really productive. Actually, I think I do know what it is. I have some new fabric that will be showing up in the next month or so, and I will have a lot of sewing to do with that. So I've been just trying to get things done and checked off my list, and I'm really excited to show everything to you today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's just get started. I have a lot to share with you. Some things you might have seen if you watched my tutorial recently for these mini charm bags. You actually saw one of them finished and you saw a couple of them in progress. I've got those all done. So really excited about getting those done. And in that video, I also shared some other bags I've made in the past few weeks. These are from my Everyday Zip Bags pattern. And then I also shared in that video my Stash and Dash, which is a by Annie pattern. So lots of bag making going on recently. I also finished a couple of really long-term works in progress that if you've watched some of my other works in progress videos, you have seen before too. I think I even shared this one maybe in December. Finally got it. I took off the border that I had on it and added from our Favorite Things collection a border. And I had my friend Val just do some quick little custom quilting. She actually outlined all of these little things too, just with a cream thread that you can't really see. But just she did some really simple swirls, and I have this ready for next Christmas. And I did put a little pocket in the back so that I can put a little quilt hanger on there and either put this on a little stand or on the wall. But really excited to have that done. This is probably more than 10 years ago that I did that stitchery. And then also this one, I think I showed it last month. I had the border on it, but it wasn't quilted or bound, and really loved being able to use our Bountiful Blooms fabric for this. And this is also a 10+ year old project. So really, really good to get this done. Something else I've been working on is the Bountiful Charity Sew Along with Fat Quarter Shop. And so the first release was in March, and it was these giant basket blocks, and they're just gorgeous. I had to use our Bountiful Blooms fabric for this quilt. I just love it. So this was my first block. And then this is my second basket block, and you just make 2 of them, and they really are fun to make. They're big blocks, but they go together pretty quickly, and I really enjoyed making them. The second release for that Bountiful Charity Sew Along was shared by Fat Quarter Shop just at the beginning of April, and my daughter Chelsi actually was the featured sewist for that month, and she shared her blocks. I have my release 2 blocks all cut out and ready to go, and when Chelsi did her blog post about this, she mentioned that there were lots of different pieces and how helpful it was to use the Fat Quarter Shop alphabetties to keep track of the different pieces. And so I followed suit, and I love using a Clover Wonder Clip to just clip that alphabetty to the fabric. So I've got my release 2 all ready to sew for the Fat Quarter Shop Charity Sew Along. And actually, I've already made my release 3 and my release 4 blocks. I am going to be the featured sewist for release 4. So when I started sewing, I actually made that one first, since I was required to get that done a little early and have photos. So I made that one, and then I made release 3. And then I went back and made the basket. So this is actually the only one I have left before I can put that quilt together. And I'm really, really excited about this. So this will probably be the next thing that I work on. Okay, some of you have also seen a little, I've been talking about an orange peel project that I've been going to do. And this, you will be able to see the full project and a little tutorial for how I've done my orange peel blocks a week from today, next Thursday. I will be sharing this as part of my quilt goals with Fat Quarter Shop, and my quilt goal for 2023 was to make an orange peel project. And I'm really excited that they reached out and asked me to participate, because having a little bit of accountability really has made sure that I will get this done. And this was a great portable project. I'll show you more in the tutorial next week, but I had these all prepped and ready to do the hand stitching when I went on a little trip last week, and so I was able to just sit in the hotel room and sew these. And unfortunately it was snowing outside, or I would have sat outside to do it, but it was a great portable project. And you can also stitch these with your machine if you don't want to do the handwork, but I'm just going to show you all of the petal blocks that I have, and then next week you'll get to see this all finished up. But just really had fun choosing, mixing and matching the different fabrics from our Bountiful Blooms collection and making these. You can call them an orange peel, or they're really a leaf shape or a petal. Just really, really had fun stitching all these up. I like to have hand projects to take with me when I travel, so I will definitely be doing more projects with this technique, because it really was super relaxing and fun. Okay, so yeah, stay tuned a week from today and we will have this. You'll get to see it all finished up and give you a little tutorial about my method. Okay, this next thing, this is actually going to be on my blog tomorrow, but if you're watching the video when it releases on Thursday, you will see it a touch early. So this is my Socialites 2 quilt. I'm going to be sharing it on the blog tomorrow when Fat Quarter Shop releases the directions for their finishing. This is their finishing setting, and I really thought it was cute. And I did the 3-inch blocks. There are also 6-inch and 9-inch blocks. But because I was doing the 3-inch blocks, I really loved their setting, and it was super easy to put together. And my blocks are made from a combination of our favorite things collection. I mixed in a little of the reds and greens from our Emma collection, and I think there might even be a couple of things from some earlier collections that, there's some Simply Delightful right here. So primarily favorite things with a few extras. But what I went for, they had these friendship stars in the 4 corners and right here. And so I really wanted to use the red print for the outer stars, but then I wanted these to kind of blend in a little bit more. So I used this gray, and it kind of reads almost as a solid from a distance. And then I used the darker green daisy print for these Ohio stars. And then for the lighter Ohio stars, I used, this lighter green. But really, really love how this turned out. My friend Val Krieger did the beautiful custom quilting, and she just did kind of like a curved with a loop inside these friendship star sections, which I love. And she called this just kind of quilt doodling, what she did everywhere else. She's so talented. She just freehands it and just does swirls and loops. And she said it's just kind of my quilt doodle. So anyway, if you've been sewing along with this, the finishing directions will be available tomorrow from Fat Quarter Shop, and I'll have a blog post going up about this, and I'll talk a little bit about this. Now, I do have one more thing I want to share with you today. I'm calling it a work in progress because I worked on this, but it's not totally my design. And I'm actually going to clear the table here, and because there are so many things to show you about this quilt. So we're going to actually just kind of stop the camera. I'm going to clear this stuff off and bring this quilt on to show you. Okay, so I am so excited to show you this project. You might remember, if you watch our podcast or saw on one of our videos, that Chelsi and I went down and did a presentation earlier in March at the Beach Cities Quilt Guild. And I was actually we did the lecture on a Thursday night, and then Friday morning, I taught an all-day class for my Home Sweet Home row quilt, which I released the pattern with our Favorite Things Christmas collection. But it was always my intention to remake it in some everyday prints because I think this is just a darling quilt for any time of the year. Well, one of the students in the class, Nancy, from Southern California, was actually, some of the students used Christmas fabric by a variety of designers. Some of them were using our fabric, and Nancy was using kind of a mix of our fabric. She mixed Simply Delightful with our Emma collection. And I had so much fun looking at her quilt in class that I said, wow, I would really, really love to borrow your quilt when you're finished and be able to show people this quilt with a completely different look to it. Sometimes Chelsi and I will mock things up digitally and share that with you, and that's great, but there's nothing like having it actually made. And Nancy got her quilt done so quickly, and it kind of just happened that she was coming down to Southern Nevada from California with a group of friends. And so we were actually able to meet up, and she gave me her quilt, and we were able to have Val quilt it, who does a lot of my quilting. And so Val did a fabulous, fabulous job on this quilt. And I am actually binding it for Nancy. So I have a little piece in it other than designing the fabric and the pattern, in that I get to do the binding for her before I give it back to her. So there's just a few things I really want to share with you. I'm just going to take it row by row because it's going to be hard to give this back to her when we get to send it back, because I'm just loving having this in my house. But this is the top row that you can see, and the mini lilies and the baskets. And then I'm going to pull it up. And this is the row that was called Plaidish. And I love what she did. She just went completely scrappy with it. And I just really, every single thing that she's done on here is just absolutely gorgeous. And then the houses, she did just a beautiful job on the houses. And it's so fun seeing Simply Delightful and Emma just all mixed together. The next row, the chain row, she also went really scrappy on that. She unified it by using that same background from Simply Delightful, which I love. And then finally, her trees on the bottom, really, really cute. And she actually put some older collections in here. I feel like this green is from an older collection. Let's see. Other than that, it's mostly Simply Delightful and Emma. But yeah, this one is an older print. And then the Simply Delightful background for all of these blocks. Now there's one more thing that I want to show you, because she did a really fun thing on the back. So I want to be sure and show you that. I'm going to flip it over and you can see her cute backing. Okay, so here it is. She made a couple of extra tree blocks, one of each of the two sizes. And then she also had an extra house block and was able to make just a little pieced section right there to put in with her back. So she has a piece of backing fabric right there and a big piece right here. And then she pieced kind of this middle section. And while I'm talking about quilt backings, I actually just did a blog post yesterday on Wednesday that talks about quilt backings. So you might want to look at that on the blog. We'll put a link to it if you have any questions. I got a lot of tips from my quilter Marion about things that you can do to help make your backings a lot easier for your long arm quilter to work with. But anyway, the last thing I want to show you right here is Nancy put her little label in. She had it stitched to the quilt backing, and that way it got quilted and became a permanent part of the quilt. So I love that she did that, and I think I'm going to start doing that as well. And I don't even feel like you would even need to have, a fancy quilt block in there. You could just stitch this somewhere in the middle And, you know, I often do it with a binding, but then it's harder to stitch through when I'm stitching my binding down by hand. So I just love that she did that, and just really, really love this version of my Home Sweet Home pattern. Again, I think I might have to copy this and make my own version to be able to keep. Okay, so that's it for my April Works in Progress video. I hope that I'll have just as much, if not more, to share with you next month. And really excited about, as I said earlier, getting some of these things that have been on my list for quite a little while checked off and moved into the finished pile. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for stopping by.